Hey folks, how's it going? And welcome to the last Trepidation video of 2024. That is kind of insane to think about, isn't it? Now, originally I had a completely different video idea for this, but I spent a little bit too much fun enjoying the process of making the idea. So unfortunately, that video idea is going to next year if you didn't really read the community post. But either way, I do want to do something else for this video, which is talk about the road plan that was released for the game for 2025, essentially. Now, there are also two patch notes that I haven't talked about yet. So if you are interested in those, keep watching. Otherwise, skip to the following timestamp to hear me yap about what I think about the roadmap. And that is essentially what this video is all about. So without much further ado, let's jump straight into it. Starting off with the victory poses and spotlight intros. The end result screen has been completely revamped up to the point where you and your fellow survivors or the slasher now show up on the screen instead of just the results, saying whether the survivors won or the slashers won. And then when you click on the screen, you actually get the end results to see what you did, what your stats are, etc. There are now victory poses in the game that you can equip to do a little dance on the end result screen, or you could do something cool like absolute cinema. How it works is that regardless of what happens, you will show up in the end result screen in your post, basically. But if you are the MVP, you get a little spotlight intro where you are taken into a little bit of a cutscene of you doing your fun little animation before going to the end results. And alongside with the victory poses and spotlight intros, Shrine got 2 new doors, and those doors are another way to get into the middle outside bit of the map, just to, you know, make life a little bit easier for both parties. For the second patch note, we now have level portraits. As you can see right here in the menu, people now have like a little badge with their level number in it instead of just level and then their level number. They now show up as diamond, gold, silver, bronze, and then the colorless, I guess, badge, if you will. There is also an ethereal portrait, but I'm not really sure at what level you get that one. You may have seen by now that for the bronze one, you need to be level 100 and up. For the silver one, level 200 and up. Gold one 300 and up, and I think you get the gist from there. Alongside with that, in the slashes tab, you can now also see what level you are with a certain slasher, and if you open up your career profile, you are also now a certain level as survivor. Another UI change is the recovery bar now showing up as a little circle white outline around the downed icon of a survivor. You also now get more temporary progress for doing puzzles in school and in Skeld at the moment still. There were also some changes made to the perk Mutual Reassurance, and again, a bunch of slasher changes were made to a lot of the slashers, just to balance things out, really, from the looks of things. Now, there were also some other useful changes made to the game. The season reward level requirement has been decreased from level 50 to level 20. The prices for perks now scale with how many points you need to spend on them to equip them. You can now use the Q and E keys on your keyboard to navigate in Spectator. If you now open up and close the tutorial, you will see that your slasher chance actually saves, and daily rewards were slightly modified. And with that, we have made it to the Trepidation roadmap portion of this video. I will likely be playing some gameplay in the background so you have something to watch. But essentially what is going to happen is that I'm going to be summarizing each portion of the road plan, and then I will be talking about it and sharing my thoughts on it. The road plan starts off with 2025 on the horizon. There's a lot of new content expected to arrive into the game this upcoming year. I wanted to share with you guys a descriptive roadmap of what you can expect in Trepidation in 2025 and what updates will be prioritized. We're starting off with some menu improvements here, which will be the main focus likely for the early start of 2025. We have already seen some drastic changes since the beginning of New Year, and apparently 80% of the menu has been completed, with only the inventory and achievements still needing updates. Basically referring to this portion of this inventory basically, and then the achievements, which you can clearly tell is still quite old. And additionally, we will also be getting a tab for news and patch notes that will be likely added sometime around January and February. And honestly, go for it. I have been really loving these changes to the UI over the past couple months, with this bit down here being my absolute favorite. I mean, this bit is just phenomenal. I love it so much. Uzi has really outdone himself with all these changes, and so I am very excited to see what he has ready for the remaining parts of the UI. And yes, we will finally be getting news and patch notes in the game and not just in the Discord server anymore. I will admit I have been slacking a little bit with the patch notes, so I am very happy that you guys will get to actually see the patch notes before I actually get to make a video on it. But with the arrival of this new UI, I will also just try and make videos as soon as possible on new important updates and changes that you may want to be aware of. That is one of the goals for next year, alright? Bear with me here. Overall, good UI stuff. Good stuff. I am very much looking forward to see how much more improvements can possibly be made to the remaining bits of all the UI. Next up, we have some optimization, which is basically just improving the game's optimization, decreasing its memory usage. And Trepidation is turning 4 years old, which is pretty wild to read about. I actually didn't know the game was that old. But it seems to be that the plan is to rework some legacy codes and replicated assets. They need to be updated or removed completely. The plan is to free up around 500 megabytes of memory for clientele alongside improving the game's rich client. So certain in-game interactions like opening doors, equipping weapons, and have them make sure that they feel a lot better when dealing with high ping. So say right now currently in the game, if you play with 200 ping, it can feel like it can take ages to, for example, open the door. So I'm very glad to see that will be continuous optimizations to make sure that the game runs better and is a smoother experience for you guys. Additionally, the code for enemy replication and handling is likely to be written entirely for the third time. Oh wow, have they been rewritten before? To ease up the strain for certain users, namely when facing against spawner builds. Warden in general, or anyone with a spawner build, has been quite the experience so far. It has happened many times where I was full health and around a bunch of enemies, just for me to be just on the ground and instantly dead 2 seconds later. So good stuff. I like this. I am very much down for the enemies being a lot more better to manage. You can expect to see these changes towards the game's optimization starting early this year or continuing throughout 2025. Now for new settings and quality of life stuff. So there are plans to rework the settings menu and make it more accessible at all times and include more options for bettering accommodating the game to your preferences. This of course would include things like keybinds, console sensitivity adjustments, and mobile button mapping, just to name a few. But we love to see continued support for console and mobile. And of course, I would really love some more settings, like for example, I think one of the settings that I would love to have in the game is to turn down the brightness of the flashbang UI. Like it is just full on white, where I go out of my way in editing, for example, to turn that down. If you have seen the Triangle Slasher series, you will see that it is slightly more light gray just to make the viewing experience a little bit better. But if this could turn it to a setting, this is just a little suggestion from me, that would be really good. I think also another setting or settings is to be able to turn down specific parts of volume in the game. So for example, the slasher chase music, the items, sound effects like the mine and the flashbang, which can be really loud at times. The enemies can be really loud too. But other than that, I'm curious to see what settings will be added. Next up is the slasher redesigns and reworks. And I will actually be putting up a video on screen right now of 2 reworks that were leaked with this announcement, basically. But believe it or not, a very large portion of slashers have not had their models updated since 2021. And respectively so, their kits have almost remained the same as well, without any significant changes having been made since 2023. So these slashers are pretty old, except for Rockstar, Necreon, and Dryad. Plans to update the models and kits of almost all slashers and give them more interesting appearances / movesets are planned to start rolling out sometime between mid to late January and will continue throughout the year. A preview of what you can expect will immediately follow this announcement, and that is the video that you have just seen or is still playing on the screen right now. Blob and Onryo look so much better, I tell you. We've got Onryo right here, and you can see the little details now, such as the hair moving and the eyes blinking, I think that was. Really cool changes and small little details to give to a character. Yeah, just look at that slime or whatever the gooey stuff is at the bottom for Blob, and the eye blinking, and I am so in for these remodels. They look 10 times better than the current designs for all the characters slashers. I think Uzi is absolutely nailing these redesigns so far, and I cannot wait to see what the other slashers are going to be looking like. Alongside with these redesigns, there were also 12 new slashers that were also conceptualized and are planned to be implemented throughout the year as well. 12 new slashers. That is insane. I am more than hyped to try all these slashers. There will be so many more videos coming out for you guys talking about these new slashers. I will be trying to patiently wait for these, but I cannot express enough how excited I am for this part specifically. And I sincerely hope that some community creations are also taken into consideration to be added into the game. Let me just pull up a few slasher concepts. We also had really cool concepts like the Spectacle made by Rack, the Spider Queen made by Eye of Beholder's #1 fan, the Veteran by Digital. There was another one called the Butcher, which I was all in for, also made by Rack. I hope it is going to be a mix of what Uzi wants to add to the game, as well as the community, what they have cooked up with creations. We also get some map changes and the finalization of the objective rework, where maps will be receiving small changes to their layouts to give more options for rotation and the implementation of puzzles objectives. The current functionality of puzzles seemed to be agreeable with most players, which took a lot of time to accommodate. Expectation of arrival could be speculated to be around early to mid-March. Around 10 new maps are also planned to be added throughout the year, including reworks of older removed maps such as Facility and Estate. I have never seen these older maps before, so I'm very curious to see what the reworks are going to be, but brand new maps as well. I wonder what they are going to be. I know we've got like little hints around some maps being linked to certain slashers. We'll have to see on that one. I can't really speculate too much on this one. There will also be new and improved survivor mechanics, which is going to be expanded upon in early 2025 by the use of weapons and crafting, the core element to playing survivor. This system will be undergoing a pretty significant rework, as I do want to add in a plethora of new weapons and craftable items, each with their own unique functionality. Another idea that's more so up in the air is the re-implementation of additional movement mechanics like sliding and dodging to potentially replace the way sprinting is currently used to consume stamina. Reimagined combat, stealthing, and the way survivors interact with enemies is also roughly conceptualized but not expected to arrive until late 2025. I'm actually curious about this one. Sliding and dodging used to be a thing. I wonder how that worked. Will you just be able to like go a little bit faster than just sprinting with sliding, and dodging is just like being able to dodge and attack? I am a little bit confused about how these new survival mechanics would fit into the game, but I also feel like once these new kits are out of the slashers and the other important updates for this one, these mechanics will make a lot more sense. So for this one, I will just be waiting it out and see what happens, really. But they sound quite exciting, don't get me wrong. We'll also be getting some lore and survivor redesigns, where characters are going to get biographies and collectible archives and items, and that is expected to arrive sometime before the start of June. Alongside this are plans to either redesign and completely remove certain survivors, as again, most of them have not had their appearances aside from the custom faces services updated since the initial designs by myself in 2021. To further expand on this, there are still plans to add some sort of story mode / missions, although it is not prioritized and likely not set to arrive until possibly 2026, depending on the game's stature at the time. We're also getting a 2v8 game mode. A mode consisting of 2 slashers versus 8 survivors is fairly high in priority and set to arrive after all slashers have had their kits revised for better ease of implementation. I can imagine how much balancing that would take though to make sure that 2v8 will work just fine. Again, this is one of those things that I'll just be waiting on and see how that exactly works. But a 2v8 mode sounds rather intriguing and quite fun actually. Then the arrival of events and new cosmetics. Once the majority of slashers have received their much needed redesigns and changes have been made to the survivor weapon inventory system, I'll likely begin the start of a new themed monthly event for better ease of implementation. And with those events, I will be getting new cosmetics such as knife skins and sometimes themed crossover collaborations. I am quite excited for this one because if there was anything lacking, it is probably something like events, a reason to come back to the game other than just playing the game for a few matches and just leaving it as it is. Aside from maybe the season rewards just for the sake of the seasonal skin that you may be missing out on. Having a summer event or a Halloween event, a Christmas event is going to be so much fun, and I'm really excited about having the ability to have knife skins, for example, or maybe more gun skins in the future, more limited skins for slashers. I think events are going to be doing the game so much more good. My only thing I hope is that it isn't going to be so grindy that it just isn't fun to participate in an event. I like the idea of events, and I'm curious to see how they will turn out. And at last but not least, we have strategic marketing and reinvestment. Sometime early this year, when a lot of the main issues to the game's performance have been addressed, I'll begin reinvesting a large portion of the game's earnings into advertisement campaigns to ensure that you guys see a steady player base and count throughout the year. I've done a fair amount of research on the matter, but have still yet to test things out, so there's not too much to say on this matter. Still, let's hope for the best. Awesome stuff, awesome stuff. I am very much excited for all of these new little features and changes. Next year is going to be quite promising from Trepidation, especially if the game takes off. I'll have so many more people to make videos for. I am really excited to keep playing the game, making videos on them, and with this roadmap, there is so much videos I could make here. Like I said, I cannot wait to cover all these new slashes that are planned to be added. 2v8 is going to be so much fun to make videos on and stream. Events as well, I'll probably be actively streaming those and making videos on them, showing off the cosmetics that you can get. I am very much a fan of lore as well, so I'll probably be doing stuff on that as well. And other than that, obviously a lot of update videos are on the way and gameplay stuff, and I am very excited to keep playing and seeing what's gonna come up. And yeah, I'm just not going anywhere. I am very excited for the future of Trepidation, and I hope you are too. But that's all for my yapping session for this video. Drop a like on this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe for Trepidation in the future. And with that, Happy New Year, and I will see you in 2025. Take care, folks.